A woman named Ellie, who just died from a massive drug overdose on the streets, suddenly gasps for air. She violently opens her eyes, only to find herself strapped tightly to a cold metal bed inside a dark, abandoned underground hospital. Panicking and struggling to breathe, she desperately grabs a bloody surgical tool left on a nearby tray. With all her remaining strength, she somehow manages to slice through her heavy restraints and free her hands. But as she sits up, she looks down at her own body and freezes in pure, absolute terror. Her stomach is heavily swollen. She looks fully 9 months pregnant. She has no idea how she got trapped in this twisted game of life and death, or how a lifeless corpse got pregnant in a secret morgue. The exact second she steps out of that terrifying room, her blood runs completely cold. The entire hospital corridor is painted red. The shredded, mutilated bodies of doctors and nurses are scattered across the floor, brutally chewed up and torn apart by some wild, bloodthirsty beast. The dead silence is so incredibly heavy that the sound of dripping blood echoes like a heartbeat. Could you survive even 1 second in a place like this? Will Ellie make it out of this bloody hell alive? Hit that like button and subscribe to find out. Before she can even process the horrific massacre around her, a sudden, agonizing movement happens inside her belly. Like the demonic creature inside is preparing to rip her open from the inside out. Screaming in agony, Ellie somehow gathers her strength and desperately searches for a way out. The shadow of death is lurking in every corner. Suddenly, she spots another room where a man is strapped to a bed. His name is Henry, and the absolute horror in his eyes says it all. He begs Ellie to get him out of there. Without wasting a single second, Ellie frees him. But the exact moment Henry is unbound, a terrifying, guttural growl echoes from the dark corner of the room. It isn't human. It's the sound of a bloodthirsty predator. They both freeze in their tracks. If you were in their shoes, would you even have the courage to take another step? A grotesque, mutated creature starts crawling out of the darkness toward them. But by a stroke of pure luck, they are standing under a bright light, and this monster seems to absolutely hate it. Unable to attack, the beast retreats into the shadows. Henry tells Ellie that the entire hospital has been overrun by these demonic creatures. And the most horrifying part? The backup power generator is about to die. Once the lights go out, a brutal massacre will begin. Just then, a woman's voice echoes through the hospital's intercom system. Her name is Marian. She warns them to get to the main exit point immediately. Without light, they won't last a single minute against these monsters. Ellie's stomach feels like it's about to burst, but death is right on their heels. Henry puts her in a wheelchair, and they race down the unknown corridors. But they have no idea that in the next few moments, they are going to face a truth so horrifying, it will shatter their entire reality. The squeaking wheels of the wheelchair slice through the terrifying silence as they push forward. The mutilated corpses and blood-smeared walls are proof that a horrific slaughter just took place here. Risking their lives, they finally reach the exit point, where they meet Marian, the facility's security IT expert. When Henry begs her to open the door, Marian drops a bombshell. She's tried every single access card, but none of them work on this lockdown system. This blast door can only be opened by a level 10 master key card, which is held exclusively by the head doctors who are probably already dead. They have absolutely no time left. The backup generator is running on fumes, and total darkness is about to consume the entire underground facility. They need to find that key card hidden among the corpses, and fast. Because when the lights go out, death moves blindingly fast. Marian rushes them into a safe room, a small chapel illuminated by dozens of burning candles. These monsters are terrified of light and fire, making this room their last true sanctuary. Inside, they find 2 other survivors hiding in the glow, a priest and a lead surgeon named George. George is in terrible shape. A monster has viciously bitten his arm, and he is bleeding out fast. But the moment George locks eyes on Ellie, his jaw drops in disbelief. He is absolutely shocked that she is still alive after going through so much trauma. George is about to reveal a dark, twisted secret that will pull the ground right out from under Ellie's feet and change the entire nightmare. With trembling lips, George stares at Ellie and reveals the horrifying truth. He tells her that what is growing inside her stomach isn't a human baby at all. It's one of those bloodthirsty monsters. Hearing this, Ellie's mind completely snaps. She demands to know who brought her to this hellhole after she died. George then pulls the curtain back on a terrifying conspiracy. He reveals that this isn't a normal hospital. It's a top-secret underground research center dedicated to dark experiments, focusing on defeating death and bringing corpses back to life. And that's when they found Ellie's dead body. The doctors injected bizarre electrochemicals into her dead brain to resurrect her. but they had no idea how horrific the consequences of playing God would be. The human subjects woke up, but their cells mutated, breeding a demonic, animalistic species inside them. These monsters incubate inside the resurrected bodies and then rip their way out to be born. If they don't operate on Ellie and remove this demonic creature in the next few minutes, it will violently tear through her stomach and kill her instantly. Just imagine, if you found out a literal demon was growing inside you, what would you do? George frantically sends Marian and the priest to the medical lab to fetch life-saving drugs for an emergency C-section. But while rushing to the lab, Marian confesses a dark secret to the priest. Last night, she was the one who unlocked the monster cages. She thought the doctors were torturing innocent animals and wanted to free them. Completely unaware, she was unleashing absolute terror upon them all. Marian is crushed by guilt, but it's way too late for regrets. While desperately searching for medicine in the lab, a vicious monster suddenly leaps out of the darkness and attacks her. She screams, begging the priest for help, but paralyzed by fear, the coward abandons her. He grabs the medicine and runs away to save his own skin. Luckily, Marian has a heavy-duty flashlight. Knowing these creatures have a fatal weakness to bright light, she fights the beast with her last breath, blinding it and somehow managing to kill it. Meanwhile, back in the chapel, Ellie is fading fast. The agonizing pain in her stomach is beyond human endurance. Time is running out, and they have absolutely zero anesthesia. George tells her he has to cut her open completely raw. Imagine the sheer agony of having your stomach sliced open with a surgical blade while wide awake. Henry holds Ellie's hands down as hard as he can so she doesn't thrash around. George makes a deep cut, and Ellie's blood-curdling screams echo through the dead, silent building. Amidst the blood and absolute torture, George pulls the demonic offspring out, which instantly dies the moment it hits the air. But just as they take a sigh of relief, a massive monster smashes through the door. Everyone freezes in terror. Suddenly, Marian bursts into the room, armed and shining a blinding light, killing the beast right in its tracks. Ellie is finally free from her demonic burden, but the real game of survival is just getting started. They desperately scramble to figure out an escape plan. But suddenly, the power supply completely dies. The generator has finally given out. The lights are gone, and with the total darkness, the bloodthirsty monsters begin creeping out of the shadows. George steps forward with a flashlight, but his injured hand slips, dropping a glass medicine bottle on the floor. The moment he bends down to grab it, two monsters hiding in the dark pounce on him, ripping into his throat and drinking his blood. Watching George get brutally slaughtered sends a wave of pure terror through the rest of the group. They have no choice but to run. They sprint toward the main exit gate. The priest holds the master keycard they need to escape. He frantically swipes it. The heavy blast doors begin to unlock, and a sliver of outside light hits their faces. They think they are finally free. But then, the absolute unthinkable happens. A twisted religious madness takes over the priest's mind. He declares that God sent him here to ensure these demons never reach the surface world. If this door opens, the monsters will slaughter all of humanity. Screaming this delusion, he steps outside and brutally smashes the door's control panel to pieces. The entire system locks down, and the blast door seals shut forever. They are trapped inside. If someone standing right next to you suddenly doomed you to death, how would you react? They are now trapped in a pitch-black tomb, and death is rapidly closing in on them. The priest's ultimate betrayal shatters all their hopes. They are now buried alive in an underground tomb. Ellie and Henry realize that death is just waiting for them in the dark. Suddenly, Ellie remembers her young son, Hunter. Sobbing, she tries to call him on a broken cell phone, but there's no signal. Henry reveals that he was actually there the night she overdosed, and he had promised to look after Hunter if anything happened to her. In this helpless, terrifying moment, Marian comes up with one final, desperate plan. There is a massive boiler in the basement. If they overheat it and cause a catastrophic blast, the entire underground facility will collapse, burying the monsters forever and preventing an apocalypse. But this suicide mission means someone has to sacrifice their life. Marian fearlessly volunteers to head to the boiler room alone, while Henry and Ellie take another route to find fuel and help. Marian navigates the pitch-black basement alone. The silence is deafening, but she knows she is surrounded by countless unseen predators. The moment she cranks the boiler to overload, death confronts her. A swarm of monsters ambush her all at once. Fighting to her absolute last breath, Marian says goodbye to Ellie over the intercom before being violently torn apart. Her agonizing screams from the boiler room completely shatter Ellie and Henry. They think it's all over. But the truth is, fate has written an even more horrifying game of life and death for Ellie. Meanwhile, justice is served in the dark. The traitorous priest is surrounded by monsters and eaten alive. Ellie and Henry are now completely alone. The entire hospital is submerged in darkness, and the monsters are thirsting for blood. Suddenly, a massive beast lunges out of the shadows straight at Ellie. Henry tries to fight it off, but the monster grabs him and violently throws him across the room. Ellie realizes that running is completely useless now. She falls to the ground and bravely holds her hand out to the monster. The beast mercilessly bites into her flesh and starts gulping her blood. Do you think Ellie is going to die? No! The biggest plot twist of the entire story happens right here. As soon as the monster drinks her blood, it starts violently convulsing. A bizarre choking sound escapes its throat, and in the next second, it drops dead on the floor. Henry watches this in absolute shock. The truth is, Ellie was a heavy drug user before she died. Her brain and bloodstream are packed with so many toxic chemicals and lethal narcotics that she is literal poison to these creatures. Her very blood is the ultimate weapon against these demons. But the nightmare isn't over yet. The basement boiler is completely broken down, and the pressure has dropped to zero. There is absolutely no way to blow up the facility anymore, and more monsters are swarming the area. Ellie realizes that if she wants to get out alive, she has to use her toxic blood as her greatest weapon. She takes a sharp blade, slices a deep cut across her other arm, and lets her poisonous blood drip onto the floor. The scent of blood draws the remaining monsters straight toward her. What happens next is the final, most terrifying conclusion to this game of death. The blood dripping on the floor is like an irresistible feast for the starving beasts. One by one, the monsters crawl forward and start licking up the toxic blood. And right before their eyes, every single demonic creature starts violently thrashing and dropping dead. The entire hallway is quickly littered with the lifeless corpses of the monsters. However, due to severe blood loss, Ellie's body is incredibly weak and her eyes are rolling back. But Henry refuses to let her die here. He scoops her up and supports her as they drag themselves toward the exit. But the moment they reach the gate, the ground slips out from under them. Because the backup generator completely died, the emergency magnetic locks failed, and the final blast door is now standing wide open. They realize with absolute horror that if they escape to the surface now, the remaining monsters will follow them out and cause a global apocalypse, slaughtering all of humanity. To save the world, they make the ultimate choice. They choose death right there. With her last ounce of strength, Ellie smears her toxic blood all over the ground, acting as a human shield. Driven completely insane by the smell, the remaining monsters swarm them, frantically drinking the blood. And suddenly, the screen cuts to pitch black. Guys, the story ends right here. But did every single monster actually die? Nobody knows for sure. If you loved this adrenaline-pumping thriller, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next deadly recap.